Welcome back to another episode.
Things Aquatics.
That's right. So tonight, guys, we're going to go through and we're going to do a video. I've been asked to do this a couple different times. We made a video about the top 10 fish, basically the pet store should quit selling. We're going to make a video about the top 10 fish that every pet store should have. Assuming that we're coaching the people correctly on what kind of tanks and inhabitants that they have with them and where they're going. But we're going to start off. We got Bentley with us here again tonight. Say hi, Bentley. Bentley's going to ramble off the fish here for us tonight. So what's the number one fish, Bentley? What's a good fish that every pet store should stock all the time?
This is my favorite, angelfish.
The angelfish. Yeah, I like the angelfish too. They're pretty cool, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
The angelfish are, they're gorgeous fish. There's different variations, different colors, different finnage. But these guys do need a little larger tank and the correct tank inhabitants that are kept with them. If you don't keep the right tank inhabitants with them, they can be problematic. They're a little more finicky and a little tougher. They're not exactly a beginner species, but they are definitely a species that is, I mean, it's a centerpiece fish for any fish tank that you have. But you need to be coached correctly on size tanks, inhabitants, and stuff that you put with them. So, Bentley, what's number two? What's the number two fish that every pet store should stock?
Cory cat.
The Cory cats. Cory cats are great bottom feeders. They are peaceful, friendly, fun to watch. They are schooling fish. You want to keep a group of them together. They do a lot of interacting and schooling in the bottom of the tank, and they're excellent cleanup crew for any tank. They're going to eat any extra food that the other fish aren't getting to, and they're just kind of cute, really. They're just cute little catfish. And they don't get real big, so you can keep them in almost any tank that you want to. But what you got? What's number three that everybody should have in every pet store? What do you think?
Guppies.
The guppies. You did a video about guppies.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The guppy fish is a good beginner fish. It's a basic fish. Kids can get active with them. They're going to populate like crazy. And they're a great species to learn how to breed with because they are a live bear and they come in every color that you could possibly imagine. Great beginner fish. And we actually use them when we're setting up angelfish tanks, gourami tanks, things like that. We load these tanks full of guppies a lot of times, and they'll populate a bunch of babies, and about a month later we'll put some smaller angelfish and gouramis and stuff in there and kind of let the circle of life take over. But our centerpiece fish are very happy and very healthy, and they have live food all the time. It's kind of cool, really. But this next one here, it's going to be a pretty general fish here. What do you got, Bentley? What's the next one?
Barbs.
Barbs is a very general term here, but a lot of your barbs are great dither fish. And there needs to be a lot of education on the different types of barbs and things that you keep. Like tiger barbs are a lot more aggressive and maybe shouldn't be in every pet store, but you do need to be coached on these guys. They will hurt some folks out there, but your cherry barbs and things along those lines, they stay a lot smaller and they're great schooling fish for just about any tank. And they come in all kinds of different colors and variations and things along those lines. It's a very vague fish when you get into it, but they're really fun. They're really neat fish. What do you got? What's number five, Bentley?
Tetras.
That's right. Tetras, another kind of same scenario as the barbs. Very general fish. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of different variations of different tetras, but your cardinal tetras and things like that. Once again, another great dither fish to put in the tank. Another schooling fish that you can sit there and watch move around behind your show fish. And as long as they're put in and educated and taught right when you go through and you put these guys in there, then they're great fish, awesome fish, great community fish for most of your tetras. The next one that we've got, not exactly a fish. What you got, Bentley? What's the next one?
Snails.
That's right, snails. We are big promoters of snails. Snails are, hands down, one of the best cleanup crews that you could ever have in a tank. There's a lot of annoying pest snails that are out there in the world that people hate, and that's why snails have got such a bad name and such a bad rap. There are certain kinds of snails, like you can get an apple snail or a mystery snell or nerites, and they're not going to populate and make millions and millions and millions of babies. The apple snail and the mystery snail, they can't breed without a mate. You can put one in there, and they get pretty good size. They're golf ball size in a fish tank, and they'll clean up behind your fish and clean up a lot of dead plant matter if you got live plants and they wither away. We keep them actually here as a cleanup crew for a lot of our breeding setups. Like when we have a bunch of babies in there, we always introduce mystery snails in there so we can overfeed our tanks. These guys grow massively at that rate, though. Another great fish. What you got, Bentley? Give us another fish.
Rainbows.
That's right, the rainbow fish. Rainbow fish, a little tougher fish to keep. They are pretty easy to get along with, but they are a little tougher fish to keep alive. So you need to do your research and understand. And there's some of them that get a little bit bigger that need larger tanks. So again, the education on knowing what you're getting, because you can get Praecox rainbows and they stay small, 3 or 4 inches, not very big at all. But you can get some of your bigger ones get up to like 5 and 6 inches, but they are schooling fish. But there's red ones and there's blue ones, and then there's rainbow colored ones, and there's all kinds of colors, and they are another great dither fish. And you can actually use them as a show fish, as your main centerpiece fish if you want to. A lot of people do that, but there's some of these guys that are absolutely stunning and just gorgeous, gorgeous fish. Another fish. What you got, Bentley? What's another fish?
Gouramis.
That's right, the gourami. Gourami, it's my favorite. Do you know that?
Yes, I do.
That's right.
You literally have some.
Yeah, we have quite a few of the we have quite a few gouramis. The gouramis, you got to know, do a lot of research, because some of these guys can be brats, especially your males and your golds and your blues. They can be a little too dominant in some tanks, but you get into some of your sparkling gouramis and some of the other variations that aren't your golds and your blues, and they can get a lot nicer with some of the fish that are in there. They've got some of the dwarf species. They're really cool, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the blues and the honeys and things like that. They got real cool colorations to them, and they stay a lot smaller too, and they get along good in a good community tank. Don't you think so?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your mom really likes those too. She does. With the gouramis, I'm going to put in with the gouramis, and these need to be done correctly, is the beta. The beta is in kind of the same family as the gouramis are. They're a labyrinth fish, but betas get neglected in most of your pet stores, and they're put out there in cups. We actually did a video on this. Don't like it. If your setup is correct for your betas to be able to display them and have them out there, they should be in every pet store out there, because they're a great starter fish to have in a smaller aquarium. They're extremely personable and just gorgeous fish on top of it. The next fish we're going to get into is going to be a pretty wide range of fish. What you got, Bentley?
African cichlids.
That's right, the African cichlids. African cichlids, there are all kinds of different African cichlids that are out there. But every color variation that you could possibly want, and they are mean fish. As long as they are coached correctly and you understand what you're getting into in the correct tanks, and know that you're not going to have any other inhabitants in there with them either, because these guys are, they're brats, but they get along well in big schools of themselves. But there's some of your nicer ones that are out there. What nice ones. You got the Le Lupe out there. You got some of your Brochardies. They're super nice, but like your Mbunas, they come in every color and shape and form that you could, but you can keep them in a big school, and it's a gorgeous looking fish, but they need to be coached correctly in the shops, but they don't get humongous. The last one, kind of a general one here too. What do you got, Bentley?
Loaches.
Yeah, that's right, the loaches. There's different kind of loaches that are out there. It's a pretty broad range as well. You got like your yo-yo loaches, your hill stream loaches, maybe your clown loaches. Some of your clown loaches can get pretty big, so you need big tanks for those guys. But a lot of your loaches are another good cleanup fish. They're cool to watch. You're always looking for them. Like the yo-yos are real cool. They got yo-yo written on the side of them, but it's not really written. It's just the way these guys were, and that's where they got their name. But they're neat fish to watch and watch them swim around and move around. But, this entire list here is It doesn't cover everything that every pet store. I could be here forever if I tried to ramble off what I think every pet store should have, but these are definitely some of the top ones. And there's thousands of fish when you get into tetras and barbs and things along those lines, and all these different fish that they should carry. But most of these are centered around stuff that can keep in your average home aquarium. You know, your 29, maybe a 55. A couple of these probably need a 125 or so if you get into some of your groups of African cichlids and things. But these are great fish for just about any home aquarium. But we really appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming back, watching Sanders Aquatics.
Like and subscribe.